What's up, y'all? It's your boy Kakash13542, aka Fish, aka YG Piranha, here for some more review content. With the Oscars coming up, it's time for me to start my yearly Oscar watch. Um, I've loved watching the Oscars my entire life, and yet again, I will enjoy watching the Oscars and see which actors get their yearly awards for outstanding acting achievement within that community. Um, that will be my primary watch focus of the next couple of weeks. I will also post my predictions because I'll actually go through all the categories and see who's going to win and what. It's always fun just to see who you think is going to win, and regardless, the achievement gets given out to, and the achievement's amazing regardless. Um, I started a couple. I actually started last weekend with Avatar: Way of Water. Ironically, that's being nominated, so that kind of started my spur just to get it going, and I continued that with watching Babylon because Babylon is also nominated. I'm going to be watching movies primarily that I haven't seen because I have seen one film that I know I've seen is Seeing Red. I have seen that. I can't think of any other films off the top of my head that I have seen that's on that list, but there are movies on the film list that I have seen that are being nominated, and I'm excited to primarily watch the ones that I haven't seen yet. When it came to Babylon, it was a 7 out of 10. Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie both acted and did tremendous acting. It was a movie about acting in Hollywood throughout the early 1920s through the 1950s, between silent film to film having sound, and it was a great story. So the story was great, um, characters were great. However, just when it got raunchy, it got too raunchy, and it just drove away from the story. Just some of it wasn't needed, especially like the opening scene. The opening scene could have drove people just out of watching the movie like immediately. Like you have to definitely get over the opening scene of the film for sure. Like I had to step back and realize was I watching the proper film when I turned it on, because the opening scene was just like, oh, this is what's happening now. So from a writing perspective, it also didn't have like the greatest resolution to the end of characters. Like the characters resolved, but like not the greatest way, not the most satisfying way. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10. So that's it for my movie for this week. I will have more movies over the next coming weeks just because I got to get into gear with with the uh, with the Oscars and everything. But that leads to my next review with Hogwarts. I haven't put Hogwarts Legacy down. Hogwarts Legacy gets a 9.5 out of 10. It's not a perfect game, and that's my biased review. My unbiased review is it's a 9 out of 10. It gets that extra point 0.5 because I'm a Harry Potter fan, and it nails all those Harry Potter nuances. Like, and the reason it's a 9 out of 10, regardless, is because it delivers exactly what it says that it is. You are a wizard that goes to Hogwarts. You're a fifth year, you get your letter, you get to go through the whole process. You don't get to go through like the first year sorting process, but you get sorted in a sense. And then you do take classes in a sense of like that's how the main story progresses your character. You have to go to lessons, and then you have side missions to do extra lessons to then learn more magic. So you don't have to learn everything. Obviously, I choose to try to complete all my games, but I'm having more fun completing this game than anything because of the fact that I've waited to get my Hogwarts letter my whole life. I knew it was never going to happen, so like being able to physically feel like I got my Hogwarts letter is amazing. Like I absolutely love it. It like I said, it delivers. Like you get to ride your broom. Eventually, you get a hippogriff to ride on. Like the exploration in the game is phenomenal. Like there's so much hidden shit to do, and there's so much stuff that you can't explore until you progress, thus making you want to explore and progress. And I love when they give a good balance of that. It reminds me of like the old school Assassin's Creed games where like you could explore until you got to like a certain portion of the memory, and it's like this memory is not accessible yet. You're just like, oh, okay, well I guess I'll just do as much exploring as I can, as opposed to until I get sick of it, or as much as I want. And I do enjoy that that aspect of being able to actually have the ability to explore, and then being like, all right, I can't just keep exploring. I do have to progress through the game, and it shows you that from the beginning, like from the very beginning. Like I've yet to learn my Alohomora spell. There's a lot of places that are just blocked off with that spell. I have yet to learn it, and I've progressed through the game pretty good, pretty well. I've done a lot of exploring on top of that. I've killed a bunch of mini bosses, including um, spiders and Acromantula in particular. That fight was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, it's just been a great experience. Like I can't, I will be playing after I do this review video. Like I will be continuing that game. It's a great game. If you're a Harry Potter fan in any kind of way, go play it. And if you want just a solid single player experience, it's great. The combat, I can see where people say it gets repetitive. To me, it's not the most repetitive thing in the world because you have a plethora of spells to go through your combat experiences, so you can mix it up and have a lot of fun with it. And there's a lot of different types of enemies, and there are also a lot of different types of like assistance you can use along with your spells. So like I feel like once you actually progress through the game and start getting into the higher combat level areas, it's hard, it's rough, and it requires you to get some of your cool skills. Like I got this cool, really really cool dodge skill. So I do want to reiterate before I move on to the next topic that the combat in that game is versatile. It's not super versatile, but at the same time, it's not. It's kind of the same thing in any Harry Potter game. You're waving a wand. It's an extension of yourself. It's only going to do so much of an extension of yourself. I'm not pulling out guns. I don't have 30 different guns. I have 30 different spells. Yeah, they're all spells, but they all do different stuff. And they all visually look different and do different stuff. Also, the room of requirement is a lot of fun. The way that they have you being able to customize the room, great. Primo. Like, absolutely primo. Like, it's very, very simple. Like, the way that they have you being able to remove stuff and add stuff, it makes sense. Like you can quickly add stuff, customize it, boom, exactly what you want to do. It doesn't take too long, but you can still spend time doing it, and it's enjoyable. So yeah, great game, Hogwarts Legacy. Moving on. Next thing up is Vox Machina Season 2. It's a great adult animated TV show made by the people of Critical Role. If you don't know who Critical Role is, they are like super famous D&D group. They just do D&D. They do famous D&D, but they're just a super popular D&D group that just has grown to just a great part of the community. They have had voice actors come down to Colorado many years of Fan Expo. Before that, it was Colorado Comic Con, blah blah blah. But they've been on the scene for a while. This is season 2 of their show. Season 1 was great. Season 1 was it established all the characters, established all the character relationships with each other. As like an added treat, one of the voice actresses in season 1 in particular was the voice actress of Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and she's a great voice. If hint hint, if you knew what she did as Azula, that should give you a hint of her kind of character that she voices in Vox Machina season 1. But season 2 is great. I needed to confirm real quick whether it is because they had their 12th episode today, and I just yeah, so they finished the last episode. Okay, I that's what I believed because it was 12 episodes. So yes, 100%. But yeah, they had the 12 episodes. Not today. It was this past Friday. Excuse me. So it wasn't today. It was on February 10th that they released it. But this past week they released the ending of season 2, and it was great. Like it was a great way of like just having a cliffhanger of you just wanting to be like, all right, let's see what happens next on their journey. Because season 1, the journey began, middle, ended, resolved, completed, boom, that was it. It was done. There was nothing else to it. Season 2, like they now know that they have a fan base and they can go with it. So obviously they're teasing for more, but they left it off with like being like, ooh, what's next, as opposed to being like, okay, that was a good story. So yeah, definitely, if you are a fan of D&D, if you're a fan of anime, like action-packed anime of some kind, if you're a fan of fantasy, if you're a fan of Critical Role, if you're a fan of any of that, like it is great. It is not for kids. It is definitely adult animation, but it's great. It's 100% A1 sauce. So yeah, 100%. I'd give that one. That's definitely one of the best shows I've definitely seen in a long time. It's Vox Machina, and Vox Machina season 2 just ended. Definitely great. The last thing that I'm talking about is I finished this a couple weeks back and didn't realize that I had actually finished it. So I wanted to give my review on it, which Chainsaw Man. Um, Brilliant. First off, it's one of the best looking animes out there. Like Mappa did it again with their animation, and it's just like Jesus Christ. Like sometimes you're just watching it, and you're just like, is this real? Like it's so clean of animation. Like it's just there are just moments where you're just like, is this real? Knowing that you're watching an animation, like it's great. Um, It plays. If anybody has seen High School of the Dead, and we all know that unfortunately, the creator passed away, so season 2 never came out. It is the season 2 of High School of the Dead that we never got. It's great. It's absolutely brilliant. Um, it had a weird pacing to it, because you got to a point where you're just like, okay, I feel like I know where this is going, and it's getting boring, and all of a sudden it just snapped, and you were just like, oh, it's not boring. That did all that really just happen, and you kind of just like a whole bunch of events just kind of just happen at once, and you just washed over you. You're just like, oh, all right, I guess we're going this direction with this show, and it was good. And then the show progressed, and you were just like, oh, okay, cool. And then I didn't realize that it finalized with the finalization of season 1. It kind of like, I felt like it needed more, because like I said, I thought that there were more episodes. I came back to my Crunchyroll and was like, oh, it's done, cool. Guess we don't have any more to watch here. So I definitely am excited to see what season 2 has to bring. I'm hoping for more character plot, not just characterization and just a whole bunch of fights. Like, the fights were great, stuff like that. I'm hoping for the plot to advance a little bit further in season 2. People understand what I mean when it comes to that when you're watching that show, because the plot just kind of hits this weird wall, and then everything else just kind of just forms around this wall, and I just kind of want that wall to be broken down, and you just move through it. So yeah, um, Chainsaw Man, great. Again, if you're a fan of High School of the Dead, it literally hits that. Like, the best thing about that show, honestly, is the opening. Like, the opening is one of those that's just like, this is an anime. It feels like the opening feels like, honestly, it feels like Death Note. Just like how the opening of Death Note was just like, yeah, this is an anime. You're just turning it on, and it just has that unique feel to it where you just know you're watching an anime. Not you just watching a show, but you know you're watching an anime. Chainsaw Man has that. So yeah, 100% I'd give it. I really only want to give like my ratings when it comes to video games and movies, like TV shows and stuff like that. That I'll just tell you what I've watched that's good, and then what I recommend. So I do recommend both of those. There's only one season of Chainsaw Man, so definitely watch that. And again, 2 seasons of Vox Machina, so go ahead and watch those if you like anything that's fantasy based. So that's it. That's it for this week. Um, Upcoming, I know for a fact that Ant-Man Quantumania comes out, so I'm a huge Marvel nerd. I'm a huge nerd, so I'll definitely be trying my best to be watching that this upcoming weekend when it comes out. Going to go see that in theaters. And we got some more of the Oscars journey that I'll be talking about, and we'll see if there's any new video games for me to talk about, or anything that I have beaten and not talked about recently. So, all right, thanks for anybody that tuned in, and have a great night.